In this video, I've zoomed out a little bit so I can have more numbers appear on the page. I'm going to enter in rand between 1 and 10 to simulate a 10-sided dice. I spelled it wrong, but there's an error there, so let's just quickly check that and change it. Done. And I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to highlight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to do 10, go paste, and I get 10 random numbers. What these 10 random numbers represent is the 10 ice blocks that Grace can buy. And what this represents is one trial, 10 ice blocks that Grace can buy, and we need some sort of key to relate the numbers 3 and 5 and 1 and 7 and so on to what symbol she got on the ice blocks. Now, it's a bit of a coincidence that we have a trial being 10 random numbers and each random number being between 1 and 10. That's just how this problem worked out. You could have a trial with more than 10 random numbers, or maybe your random numbers are between 1 and some other number. But in this case, they are both 10. Okay, so if that is one trial, how many trials should we do? Well, again, we can copy our one trial and then highlight down as many trials as we want. Now, a good number is 30, so I'm scrolling down to the number 30, and I'm going to push Control V, and now I've got all these random numbers. Remember, one row represents one trial of Grace buying 10 ice blocks, and the 30 rows represents 30 simulations of Grace buying ice blocks. 30 is enough that we can get some fairly reliable answers out of this problem. Okay, we have all these random numbers, but what do they mean? How can we relate them back to the symbols that Grace had on your ice blocks? Remember that the apple symbol had a probability of 0.4 occurring, and the pineapple symbol had a probability of 0.3, grape 0.2, and strawberry 0.1. In fact, because these are all 0.4, 0.3, they're all tenths. This is why we used a random number generator between 1 and 10. We're essentially using a 10-sided dice. Now, a probability of 0.4 for the apple symbol means that 4 of those sides of the 10-sided dice need to represent apples. And the pineapple having a 0.3 means that 3 of the sides of the 10-sided dice needs to represent pineapples. The grape being 0.2 means 2 sides, and the strawberry being 0.1 or 1/10 means that 1 out of the 10 sides of the dice needs to represent strawberries. So we need a little bit of a key that relates our random numbers that we've generated to these symbols. Let's do that now. Okay, we're back at the Google Sheet. Before I do anything else, I'm going to go copy and then edit, paste special, paste values only. And that means that these random numbers aren't going to change anymore. I'm quite happy with them. But I do need to change the numbers into the symbols. Now I could go through each and every cell and say, well, what does a 2 represent? Remember that the apple symbol had a probability of 0.4, which meant I needed to have 4 numbers from the 10-sided dice represent apples. And the 4 numbers I'm going to choose are the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. That makes sense. So a 2 would represent an apple. And I could go through and relabel that as an apple, but that would take forever. Another thing I could do is I could actually color in the cell maybe green to remind me of a green apple. So if 1, 2, 3, 4 represent apples, and the probability of a pineapple is 0.3, then I need the numbers 5, 6, 7, the next 3 numbers, to represent pineapples. 5, 6, 7. So here's a 6, and I could label that or color it in with a yellow for a yellow pineapple. The probability of a grape was 0.2, and so I need the next 2 numbers. I've already used 1, 2, 3, 4 for apples, 5, 6, 7 for pineapples, so 8 and 9 represent grape. Well, here's an 8, and I'm going to color that in purple to represent a grape. And the last number, 10, on the 10-sided dice, represents strawberries. And that's because the probability of getting a strawberry symbol on your ice block sticks was only 0.1 or 1/10. So I need 1 out of the 10 sides on my dice to represent strawberries. So I'll use 10 to represent strawberries. So there's a 10, and I'm going to color that in red. As we can see from this simple example, in this first trial, we actually have 1 of each color, which means we have 1 of each symbol, and Grace will win a movie ticket. What we need to do is we need to do that for each of the 30 rows representing the 30 trials, and then from there we could work out a probability of how likely is it that she's going to win a movie ticket. Now, rather than colouring these all in by hand, which would take a long time, there is a much faster way. Here's how you can do it. If you go to Format and Conditional Formatting, then there's a way of colouring in all the cells that meet a certain condition. So I want to apply this range to everything here. So I'm going to select A1 all the way down to the last number here, which is J30. So now I've got everything in that range. So all the numbers in that range, and what I've selected them now, and I'm going to format them. It says if it's not empty. No, what I want is if it is between, so between 1 and 4. And that's because 1, 2, 3, 4 represented apples. And you can go down here and select the color, and I want a nice green for apples, and I've gone done. I could add another rule. It's already got the same range. I want to go again, is between, and this time I've used the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, so I need 5, 6, 7, so 5 to 7. That represents pineapple, so let's color them in a nice yellow. Add another rule. This time is between. I don't want 8 and 9, and that was representing grapes, so a nice purple. And the final rule is if the number is, I guess we can use is equal to. If it's equal to 10, then I want that to be a strawberry, so a nice bright red. So now what I have, let me just get rid of that. Now what I have is a colourful way of seeing each trial. Remember, each trial is one row, and all I need to do is if I have 4 different colours, then that represents Grace winning the movie ticket. And if I don't get one of each of the 4 colours, then Grace doesn't win a movie ticket. So in the first trial, I've got a green, purple, red, and yellow. In fact, she only needed to buy 5 ice blocks and she's won a movie ticket. In the second trial, she's got a red, yellow, green, and purple. She also wins. Let's have a look. What about in the 5th trial? Okay, so she's got yellow, pineapple, and purple for grape, and more pineapples, more grapes. She only got pineapple and grapes. So she didn't win a movie ticket in the 5th trial. What we need to do is define what is a successful trial and what is an unsuccessful trial. In this case, a successful trial is Grace winning a movie ticket, getting one of each of the 4 colours. And an unsuccessful one is if she didn't get one of each of the 4 colours and didn't win a movie ticket. We can find the probability of her being successful in winning a movie ticket by simply counting the number of trials that she did get one of each of the 4 colours and dividing that by 30. That'll give a probability of her winning a movie ticket.